Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Sage Business Cloud Accounting topic webinar. Today, our topic is on inventory, and we will be discussing inventory within the Sage Business Cloud Accounting package. My name is Joanne Barnard, and I will be your host and panelist for this session. I see that we already have a hand up. If you could please use the question icon to let me know your question, I will happily answer it. The question icon looks like a little question mark in a speech bubble. It can be found on the right-hand side of your screen. If you can please type your question through to me, then I can answer it accordingly. Guys, I'm going to give it a minute or two so that the person with their hand up can just let me know what it is that they would like to ask or comment on, and then we can take it from there. As well, I'd just like to check that you can all hear me. If you could just type yes in the question icon, that would be great. On entry, you should have heard classical music playing, and I hope that made it easier for you to know that the sound was, in fact, working. If you did not hear classical music, then your sound isn't working and you can't hear me anyway. But I'll just wait for that question, so I'll give it until about 10:02, then I am going to start with the webinar. Okay, so guys, a lot of you are saying actually you did enjoy the music. I'm so glad. Oh, no worries. I was just worried that you might have had a question. Sorry, guys, there was no question. It was just the wrong button. Okay, I'm just going to tick your hand off, and then, guys, we're going to get started. So, as I said, today we're working on basically the item tab, which is inventory. So, what are items? Items are invariably physical goods, but you can also sell services as items. And if you sell a service is different to a physical item. A service is obviously exactly that, a service. If you are providing a service like what I'm doing right now, if we were charging for this, which we are not, these are free webinars, this could be a service going under training. And then you can't count a service. That is then worked out in terms of hours spent, or however you work out your service. Normally it's in hours or a call out fee, whatever that looks like. So if we were to go and create an item, you will see that here, and this is the only place in Sage Accounting where we actually still use a code, and you can enter that code accordingly. I just want to see how many numbers it is exactly. So that's what I'm doing here. So guys, at this point, I've managed to actually enter in 50 digits, which probably is a lot more than you would need for the code, because I forgot to actually ask my other counterpartners in terms of what is the limit. So there is a great number that you can in fact enter. So guys, there is just a question, will this be for Sage 50 Partner as well, or only for Sage 1? So this Tuesdays are always only Sage 1, Thursdays are for Sage 50. If you specifically do need to know about inventory, I have already run an inventory webinar, which I have a recording on, for everything about inventory within Sage 50 Accounting or Sage Pastel Accounting. Please send me an email. I'll happily send you the link to that. So guys, Basically, you would enter your code. You can either enter the supplier code or you can enter your own code as it makes sense to you. And so, for example, let's go item 001 or whatever makes sense to you, as I said. And then you would enter your description. So what is the description of this item? Is this, you know, what are you selling? I think that I am in, sorry, I think that I'm in my cycle shop, in the demo shop. I could be wrong. But basically, whatever you're selling, if you're a sandwich shop, this could be your ham sandwich. If you are selling clothing, this could be a t-shirt. This could be bread. Whatever it is that you are providing, you would enter your description. So let's go. So I'm going to say that I'm going to stick with training, and this will be my A4 pad. So let's actually A4. So your code you want to make sense to you, unless you want to use obviously your supplier code, so that when purchasing, it makes it easier for you to have those purchases. So think of your code carefully. Is it something that you will be able to remember? You can also obviously work on description. And the option there normally that people will ask is, do I use the supply code or do I create my own code? And that is dependent on what's easier for you. For purchasing, using the supply code might be easy, but if you, for example, have 5 suppliers, whose supplier code are you going to use? In this case, for example, just going A4 pad 001 and you know, okay, it's this specific pad, you can then use that and then obviously go to whichever supplier is cheapest at the time and do your purchase accordingly. Then guys, you can have categories. That is entirely up to you. You can put it as none. You can add your own categories. So for example, we can go stationery over here and we can go save. And this will now fall under stationery. And then again, is this physical or service? Is this something you can see, you can touch, you could taste if need be? I don't think an A4 pad would taste very nice, but it's something you physically can hold. It's a physical item, or is it a service, for example, training? It's not something you can see or touch, but it's a service you provide. Then again, is this active? If we're creating an item, this would be a new item. We need to make sure that it's active. Otherwise, we will not be able to process against it, either to purchase or sell. And then, is there an opening cost? Now, this would be if, for example, you already have this item. So it's not a new item you're adding where you now need to go and purchase. This would be, for example, maybe you're moving from Pastel Accounting to Sage Accounting. You're moving to Sage 1, Sage Accounting, Sage Business Cloud Accounting, whatever you want to call this program. And you're moving from another program, QuickBooks, Pastel Accounting, and you're like, I actually already have an opening cost, and it is £12.99. And I already have 10 units on hand. You would enter that, and then you would enter, when am I bringing this in? And maybe that was the 1st of August. So these would be your opening balances. You're going, I already have this information. If, however, this is a brand new item, you would not enter these values because this is a brand new item, and you will go and you will order these items, and that will then create your opening cost. Okay, so guys, I've been asked to explain that again. So the opening cost is something that you would normally get from your program. Now, I am going to quickly open my Pastel Accounting just to show you, because this is not your selling cost. This is what this item costs you. That is an opening cost. So in accounting, we often have something called a cost of sale, and that is, what does it cost you to make the sale? I really, really hope my program is still actually registered. Apologies, that will be done by Thursday. If it's not, I have been on leave for the last 2 weeks, for those of you who don't know, so I was not aware that I needed to register yet. But if we go into, for example, edit inventory item file, because I don't have access to QuickBooks, I can't show you in QuickBooks where that would be. But if we go here, we can see that we have an average cost. So this is what it costs me for this accounting software. If I had to move that accounting software to my Sage 1 or Sage Accounting, basically I could use exactly the same code, ACCLOC. So I could do that, for example. So sorry guys, just so that this makes sense, this is accounting software, which although you can't, for example, taste accounting software unless you pick up the box, and in this case most things are digital, you can see it, and basically even the program we're working on would be considered a physical item. It has a physical cost. So that's a good thing in terms of physical. This is not a service, it's a physical item because it has a cost. We can then look at that cost and go, okay, this is in fact my cost. Now in Pastel, you have a last cost or an average cost. So you could choose either or, but this is the cost as it would affect you. And you would then enter that as the opening cost, and you would then need to look and see, okay, if I look at my activity, how many items do I have? Also bearing in mind that in this company, I have multiple stores, which unfortunately Sage 1 does not have. So I would then need to work out my quantities, and I could then, for example, enter that quantity, and then when am I taking this on? So those three work hand in hand on this side. What is the cost of this item? What do I normally pay for this item? And then how many do I have on hand? Because I already have a cost. I'm moving software. And when have I made the move to the software? So it's your opening balances. And you would enter that accordingly so that when you sell this item, the cost of that sale is taken into consideration, because that is how your GP is worked out. If you do not enter the opening cost, the opening quantity, and the opening quantity as at, if you then go and sell that item, for example, if you skip this step and we had to leave this as 0, we can still go, because I've entered my quantities, I've forgotten my opening cost, I've entered my quantities, and I've said it's on the 1st of August. If I now go and sell this item, it is going to give me 100% gross profit. That means that SARS is going to look at this and go, ooh, 2,240, great. What is my 40% of that value? Instead of, hey, I'm selling this for 3,000 Rand. My gross profit on that is only 800 Rand. Therefore, what is 40% of 800? They're going to ask you what is 40% of the total. Guys, please don't use these values because I haven't actually worked them out and I don't know what SARS actually asks you in terms of on gross profits. I'm pulling figures out of the air, so please don't quote me on that or come and go, Joanne, you're totally wrong. I know. I have no idea what the gross profit percentage is that SARS actually charges, but there's a big difference between 800 and between, 2,240. So the opening cost per unit or the value of the one. Okay, so guys, I've got a question in terms of when you put the opening cost, is it opening cost per unit or for the full 173? My understanding is this is the unit cost. And I really hope that I'm right. That's a very good question. I've always understood this is the unit cost. So when we do this, it is going to go 240 times 173. I will make 100% sure of that, but I will probably need to do it at the end I am going to save this like this now because that'll also quickly show me. I've always understood that this is the unit cost. Much like in pastel, if we look at the details, this is the unit cost. This is not the total cost for my 173. That is a unit cost. So I've always understood it the same, but thank you. That's a very good question. And I do hope I've understood it correctly, because I've understood this is the unit cost for 1 unit, but my quantity here is 173 units. So that would have to be times by 173. So guys, I'm going to save this like this, as if I'm taking on that item. So we filled in all of the information here. We then need to look at the item details. So this is the cost of my item. Now we're looking at the selling price. And we need to decide, are we looking at inclusive or exclusive? You don't need to fill in both. So in this instance, I'm going to go, I'm selling this inclusively for 3,200 Rand. So this is my unit cost of this item. It will work out the exclusive. So if, for example, this was meant to be my exclusive, I would then need to switch them around and go, no, 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 I don't want my GP to be worked out because GP is worked on the exclusive. It needs to be that. And then it will give me my inclusive price. So you need to know when you are putting in that value, is this my exclusive or my inclusive? And whichever one you fill in, it will work out the other unit cost. Where it says unit, this is asking you, what is your unit of measurement? Are we doing each? Are we doing per kg? Are we doing per 100 grams? So it's asking, what is the unit measurement? Not, you know, okay, how many units makes up this exclusive price, but what is the actual unit of measurement? So here we're going to say this is each for this accounting software. It is 3,680 Rand each. Here it's then telling you, okay, your gross profit percentage, which it works out based on my opening cost, is 30%, which works out to 960 Rand. It then asks you, is there VAT on this? And if there's VAT, how much on the sales, how much on the purchases? And then your item accounts. Now, this is where you could go and create in pastel, we call it sub-accounts. Here you call it account grouping. So you can have a total sales grouping, but in your accounts, in your groupings, you can, for example, and this is how you could do stores. I could do account lock, and here I could do JHB. I could then go and create a sales account for Johannesburg and a purchase account for Johannesburg, and it would then work out for Johannesburg only. So I would have 3 accounts here, but I would have to say JHB or Cape Town or Durban. If, for example, we're sticking with me moving this account, and that's how they've been done. That's how I would, in my Sage Accounting, actually create my multi-stores. I would have each item separate. I would code them accordingly, and I would then go and create actual accounts that would specify. While sales is my overall main account, I would have sub-accounts that I would call sales JHB, purchases JHB. Guys, I hope that makes sense. I have actually done account groupings before. You may not have been part of them, so this may seem a bit confusing. But in Sage Accounting, we don't work with sub-accounts. We work with account groupings, because even your accounts don't have codes. But in Pastel, everything has a code. Your customers have a code, your suppliers have a code, and the only thing in Sage Accounting that has a code are your items. So that's how I would work that out if I was going to. I hope that makes sense. If you need me to explain it again, let me know. In this instance, I'm not going to work with multi-stores because that can become a whole different thing. And if you want me to run a webinar specifically on how I would work multi-stores into Sage Accounting, I'm happy to put that on my list of topics you would like me to run, and I will add it. I've already done September, so it'll probably be run in October if you're interested in that, and we can go through it. So please let me know. But basically, I've now captured this one. So what I'm going to do then is we can then look. So again, guys, if we go from the tabs, we then go, because our details have been done, and you can go save if you want to, just to save the tab and make sure that you're happy saving the tab. And then you can go either back in, or you can just go across. Now, if we have price lists, you can see that there are no additional price lists that have been set up. So in order to add additional price lists, you need to add them under company settings. Sorry, guys, I do see that there's a question. Guys, apparently someone is viewing a recording from 20 minutes ago. Is anyone else dealing with that problem? Please let me know. Guys, can you just let me know if anyone else is having a problem with the stream? Is everyone else on price lists? Please let me know if anyone can hear me and if I'm on price lists. If you can just type yes if I'm talking live now, and if you hear me talking about price lists, I'd really appreciate it. Okay, fantastic. It seems maybe it was just a problem on that person's. Okay, I'm going to continue. Guys, if anything funny should happen with the stream, it cuts out and suddenly it's paused or it's not making sense, please go to the question icon and immediately let me know. Another thing you can do is press F5 on your keyboard and it should put you into the live stream again. I've never had that happen. I'm not sure why it happened, but I do hope it's been rectified. Apologies for that. So guys, if we look at price lists, it does tell you you need to go to the company settings. Now you can either click here to go, or you can go company, change company settings. And if we go to change company settings and we go to general settings and item settings, this is where we can in fact see the price lists. Now here we can see that we've only got our default price list. This is where you would come and add your price lists, and you can then, for example, go wholesale pensioners, and I don't always spell that right, and I do apologize. I am dyslexic. Retail, etc. And you can add your price lists here and save them accordingly. No, I don't want to add that because I don't have a VAT 201 number. Once it's saved, we can then go back to our item and, sorry guys, list and list of items, because if you go add item, it's going to take you back, and in this case we want to still work on our ACLOC. So if we go to price lists now, hopefully we should see our price list, and here we will see that the default price list is what it filled in on the actual price list itself, and it tells you default price list. So this is where you would need to come in and then go, okay, what is my wholesale? My wholesale, for example, is 27. And again, you need to decide exclusive, inclusive, and you will fill them in accordingly, and it will fill it in and then tell you the GP and the GP percentage. There is a recording. To the person who said, unfortunately, they logged in 11 minutes late. I am recording the session. I will happily send it to you at the end of the session so you can catch up the beginning. We haven't gone very far. We just did the details tab. Hopefully that helps. So guys, you would fill this in. And then once you fill that in, you can move across to the activity. If there is an activity, this is where, okay, so I was correct. The opening cost is the unit price. So I can confirm that now, because here we can see the opening balance is telling you this is the quantity and it's gone 173 times 2240, which is exactly what I thought it was. I just wanted to be sure. And here we can see the total of 173. So it said, look, this is my opening balance. That's the value of 173 units. And we can see that accordingly. If we do adjustments, it would then show you what the adjustment is. Once we start processing, it will show you your sales, your purchases, if they're credit notes and returns. And then it tells you, based on all of this activity, this is what you now have on hand. And this is the monetary cost of that inventory value. So this is how much it's worth. It's the word I was looking for. Then we can also add notes. So for example, maybe you want to add a note about this. And you can go, okay, my action date, for example, is the 30th. So maybe, for example, the note that you need to add is from your supplier. They've sent we are increasing our cost of our items on the 1st of October, and you want to add that as a attachment. You can then add that price list as an attachment. You can close it and it will add accordingly. And then when it's complete, you can tick that. So you want to action this on the 30th to go, for example, and make sure that you open the new price list instead of the old one, so that you can change your cost, or when you are doing your purchases, that cost is altered accordingly. Then we've got our purchases graph. That'll only show when we do our purchases. Our sales graph will only show when we do our sales. And then you can view your graphs accordingly. You can also add a picture of this item. So that would be helpful, for example, if you are a clothing store and you have various different colors. You can add a picture, or maybe you're a hardware store and it's different sizes of screws, I think, or nuts and bolts. I'm trying to think. My husband does woodwork and often he talks about these things and I have no idea what he's on about. But I know they're different sizes. You can then add a picture, so it makes it easier for you to go, yes, that's the right one. This is what the package looks like, or whatever it is. You can add an image. If we add a picture, you can see that it may not exceed 2 megabytes and that you only have used X amount. So in document storage, you have 20 gigs. And at this point, it'll tell you you've only used, for example, 14 kilobytes. So we still have a lot of storage we can use, but one file cannot exceed more than 2 megabytes. Please bear that in mind. And I think you can use bitmap and JPEG if I'm not mistaken. So I just want to add, and I want to make sure of that. Apparently it lets you use almost anything, but guys, I would say JPEG is pretty safe, or bitmap, which is from Paint. But JPEG is pretty good, and that's pretty safe. Make sure it's not more than 2 megabytes though. So if it is, you may need to go in to a program and just downsize it and make it smaller. If you need help with that, you would need someone in marketing to assist you. I can show you at the end of this a program that you can go into and what you can do to shrink the sizes if need be. So at the end, I'll show you how to do that because I do have to do that for the news flashes and things. But that is on all of the different tabs on just creating an item. And this would be a physical item. So then you can save or you can save and new. So this is if you were moving an item. If this was a completely new item, so for example, as I said, A4 pad 01. I'm going to say here lined, and we can have one that's unlined. So that's my 01 pad. I can then come in, and as I said, we can put this as stationery. Again, it's a physical item, but in this case, this is a new item. I would not have an opening cost, an opening quantity, or an opening as at. I can, however, go, okay, based on this right now, I am going to be selling this at 15 Rand 50. And here you will see immediately, it is telling me that my GP is 100%, but it is putting the exclusive value. So your GP is always worked out at the exclusive value, not the inclusive value. So I put my inclusive value, again, this is an each, and I can then go and either work out my different price lists if need be, or I can save. So if we are looking at a brand new item, because I want to work on both of these, and at some point I'll come back and show you a service item, but we're going to do physical items for now. These two could have very different flows, because if I look at my accounting, I can immediately go into selling here. I can go, you know what, I've added my move over one, my accounting software, and I am ready to go and already sell this item because I actually have quantities on hand. And in this instance, from this point, we either are selling or we're buying. But these two have very different flows. Because I already have quantities on hand, I can immediately start selling my item. So I can go in and I can process either a customer quote, a sales order, or a tax invoice. Now, at the beginning of the month, I did go through the customer flow, how all of this works. So guys, I'm not going through all of these different things and what you would need to do, but inventory does play a part in here, and that here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sell to my customer immediately. So I can add a tax invoice and I can select my person. I'm actually going to just add someone new, and I'm going to add myself, Joanne Barnard, and that's perfectly fine. And we're going to go save. So guys, here I've saved me, and we are going to add this. I'm going to go, you know what, I want you to use this reference when making a payment, so I know that I add this to you, or for example, JB001, so that when I am processing my banking, I know to allocate JB01 to Joanne Barnard. If I had done a quotation or a sales order, I could link it here. I did not. And here I can immediately select that item and it enters it automatically. Now, what it's choosing is the default price list. Why is it choosing that? Because that is the price list that I have put for this customer. So price lists do come into it when you add a customer, and you can select your different price lists. That's where you would go to your list of customers. And again, you could go in and go, oh, actually, Joanne should be retail. which in this case would be my default price list because retail is always your highest price list. But maybe Joanne is a wholesaler. I would need to then go and change that to my wholesaler price list, for example. And I could enter that accordingly, but you will see that that's already been set up, which is great. Now, how many quantities am I selling? If I'm an end user, I'm probably only buying one accounting software. If I'm a wholesaler, though, I might be buying 10, which is why I get the wholesale price. So totally dependent. In this case, we're going to go, I'm a normal user, so I'm getting one of this. And then in this instance, guys, this is where maybe we actually have training set up. So a service item. So if we go to add new item, we can see that we can actually add new items as we're processing. So maybe, oh flip, I forgot to actually add all of my new items because, you know, Joanne's actually sitting here now. She's telling me she wants training. Joanne, no problem. So you want training? Great. While we're doing training, can you let me know how many hours of training do you think you would need? How skilled are you while I'm talking to you? So you don't obviously add the while I'm talking to you, like, Joanne, so you need training. How skilled are you? Are you a bookkeeper? Have you got your CA? What are you looking for? Because you say you need a bit of training on this. And, you know, Joanne's unsure of how much training she needs. So you need to understand the level. You chat to me, and basically we work out I'm a brand new person. I've just got my bookkeeping, and this is the first time I'm going to be using software. And so here we can go, okay, so based on this, this is quite easy software. And in general, our trainer can run through things. And you also need to find out, are you going to be capturing everything in the program? So do you need a quick rundown, a demo on customer suppliers, item banking? Or are you just doing customers? Are you just doing suppliers? What are you doing? Once you've worked that out, you can then say, okay, based on that, what I would suggest is that we are going to actually give you 2 hours of training, I would say works. And the 2 hours of training will cost 230 Rand per hour, exclusively or inclusively, whatever it is. And then you can tell them, okay, this is what you are going to work. Now, the reason that it doesn't matter and I can do the training immediately is because you cannot take on service items. So that is the difference here, and why I didn't add that service item initially, because I wanted to show you when we are processing, if it's a physical item, guys, and we are doing a customer invoice, it can be dangerous to add the physical item while we're processing this, because again, we need to consider the cost of items on a physical item. But on a service item, in general, it is 100% GP because it is time you are giving. Okay, so guys, I do have a question with what is the difference between gross profit and additional price list? Gross profit is the profit that you make on the sale of an item. So basically, I'm talking about gross profit now, and there are 2 different gross profits. You get gross profits on a physical item, which is where the cost price is very important, because in general, you pay someone to get that physical item. So you pay a warehouse, for example. You are the retailer, or you are selling a physical item. There is a cost to you making that sale because you pay someone for the accounting software, for example. We have people called business partners that sell our products. You paid for your Sage accounting. That is a physical item, and you pay to use our product or to own our product. But our business partners pay a price for that software. or it cost us to create that software because we have developers and we have to pay those developers a salary. So we work out, okay, based on those skills, what did it cost us to create the software? What did it cost us to pay the developers? What did it cost us to market it? What does it cost us to have our support staff to support you if we had to work on accounting software, since that's what I've got here. So we pay developers, we also pay for marketing, and we pay for support because we have to pay all of those salaries. Based on those salaries, what would we say is the cost of us creating accounting software? So obviously we go, how many units do we think we can sell? And we try to keep that cost as low as possible. We then come up with a sales value. For example, 3,200 Rand. Or I know, guys, 3.2 is very little. I know you guys probably pay about 11,000 for the software, I think. I could be wrong. Just so you guys understand my background a little bit. 1, not in sales, never been in sales. 2, I was moved to Sage Business Cloud Accounting Software as a specialist this year. I've worked with Sage 50 or Sage Pastel Accounting since I started, and that was in 2010. So for 13 years, I have worked with Sage Pastel Accounting, and I know that that software is around 11,000, 13,000. I think Sage Accounting is similar. I'm sorry if I'm wrong. So, but anyway, those are where the costs come in. What did it cost me? And what does it cost me? And then you need to look at your selling price because you want to make a profit. Otherwise, what is the point in your business? You need to make a profit in order to be able to live. I earn a salary. Sage pays me to do this training, for example. They pay me to be a specialist. So they go based on your skills of HTML training. So I can code in HTML. I am currently creating and coding the chatbot for Sage 50 Pastel Accounting. I will be working on the chatbot once I'm done with that because it doesn't have one for Sage Business Cloud Accounting, so that's a skill that I have. I know how to run this training, how to set it up, how to hopefully train you guys on how the training works. So they look at all of my skills and they go, here's a salary per month. But then based on that salary, they need to know, okay, this is how much we are paying our staff as a software company and as a software support company. We need to charge X value to make a profit because they still want to be profitable and the business still needs to make a profit. For me, I have living expenses. For them, they have living expenses and things like that. They need to invest. We all understand how business works. So that's where your gross profit comes in. This is how much it costs me for this item. This is how much I'm selling it as. This is my gross profit. Based on your gross profit, SARS then looks at your business at the end of the year when you hand in all of your reports, your trial balance, your income statement, your balance sheet. And they look at it and they make sure that what you've been paying them is correct. If your gross profit for a physical item is sitting at 100%, that is going to negatively affect you because SARS rubs its hands together and goes, ooh, buddy, boy, do you owe me money. But it's because your reports are incorrect, because you forgot about your cost of sales. That's why when you take on items, it is very important to know, is this a physical item? Is this a service item? And guys, not all service items are 100% gross profit. Certain service items might have a cost. For example, training. If I had to go for training in order to now train other people, that might have an actual cost. You then do need to enter, hey, although this item does not have a quantity, I don't have 500 hours of training quantity, it's a service item, it's a service that I can give and no quantity is needed. it still costs me, 50 Rand every month, because I have to send this trainer they go for training every month. And so it costs me X amount. I believe I'll have at least 40 hours of training a month. I send them for 2 hours of training at 200 Rand. So it's 50 Rand for those hours. So you need to work that out and enter it, because you do not want your gross profit to be overinflated, because SARS will nail you for that, guys. So you need to make sure your gross profit is correct. So your gross profit is a completely, and sorry, I'm going into a lot of detail with this, but your gross profit is a completely different thing to, sorry, I just want to make sure that I get your words correct. Okay, why am I now not, sorry guys, okay, pop that out again, to the purchase price, because your purchase price is what you are selling it as, or your purchase price is what you buy it for. So your cost of sales and your purchase price are the same thing. Sorry, you are right. So your cost of sale and your purchase price are the same thing, but your gross profit is the difference between your sale, your sale and your cost of, I hope I'm explaining this. Sorry guys, I'm trying to get the lingo in my head right. Purchase price and cost of sale should be the same thing, and your purchase and the GP is the difference between your sales, so your sales price, for example, and your purchase price. So if I'm going to go into Word quickly, and I don't know if Sage Business Cloud Accounting has a document on this. I do know Sage 50 does, where we show you the difference. But the way you work out GP is your purchase price minus your sales price. And then you would get a total, and then you work out a percentage against that. So that is where your GP total comes in. So if your purchase price is 500 and your sale, or it's actually sales minus your purchase price. Sorry guys, because we always use the biggest one first. I always do that. Sales minus purchase, and then you get a total. And basically, let's say the sales is 1,000 minus 500, and then that, and this is all exclusive, no VAT included. This does not include VAT. That would equal 500 Rand. That is your gross profit. Your gross profit is 500. Now you can turn that into a percentage of the value. And my maths is not great, and that's when I get confused between what is the percentage of the value, but that's where very nicely your pastel program actually does tell you it's 15% or 30% or 10%, because again, I think it's like, this is the cost, this is the sale, what is the percentage of the gross profit against the difference between the two. And it is worked out very nicely, and I'll go view the document shortly, but to work out the percentage is a whole different way, and my maths is not great. I know that sounds ridiculous since I do accounting. I'm not an accountant though, guys. I know how the software works. So give me just a bit of grace. I will go and check out how that works. But basically, that is the difference. Your gross profit is the profit you are making on that sale, whereas the cost of the sale is the same as your purchase price. Purchase price and cost of sale are the same thing, but the GP is your sale minus your purchase. That will then give you a total, which is the gross profit that you're making on it, and you can turn that into a percentage. And your gross profit percentage is what SARS looks at the end of the year, and they then go, well, based on this, this is actually how much money you should have given us. Because woohoo, we like money. you never want your gross profit to be overinflated or underinflated, because if it's underinflated, SARS is going to investigate you for fraud. And even if it's a mistake, and obviously then you have your auditors go in, you check what's wrong, these things happen, and you go, you know what, guys, we're so sorry, our purchase price was wrong, we fixed it up, here you go, how much do we owe you, whatever the value is. But if it's overinflated, SARS is very unlikely to investigate you. If they're going to get money, they're going to be happy to get the money. They're not going to go, guys, this seems weird. Why are you telling us that you guys are, you know, technically your profit is only 500,000, but SARS thinks it's 1,500,000. They're not going to investigate you. They're going to go, hey, you've underpaid us. Give us the rest of the money. If, however, they see they owe you, they'll investigate you. So you don't want either, and it's very important to make sure that your cost of sale is correct. Does that make sense? I hope that because it is important. Do you understand the difference? Have I confused anyone? Have I made it clear? Because that's what I'm trying to do. Be clear, concise, and that you guys understand. Please let me know if you need me to explain that again, or if I've confused anyone. Again, guys, please let me know. It's very important we understand this. If you understand, go understood. If not, okay, I'll explain again. Okay, guys, markup and GP are not the same either. Also bear that in mind. So your purchase price, so someone hasn't understood, so I'm going to go through it again. Purchase price and cost of sale are the same thing. Guys, I'm going to just save this invoice quickly, because sometimes being able to see does help. So this is where we're in a customer invoice. If we look at items and our list of items, if we go in here, this last cost is your cost of sale. Your last cost, your cost of sale, and your purchase price. They are different words for the same thing. So this last cost, if I had to go and do a supplier invoice, that is where this last cost is pulled from. So it is your purchase price. Your purchase price is used to work out your gross profit, which is the profit that you make on a sale. And the way you work out gross profit is the sale, the exclusive selling price for one item minus your purchase price of one item equals the gross profit for that item. So in this instance, the gross profit on one unit of accounting software is 960 Rand. That is your gross profit. That is not necessarily your markup though. Your markup is when you go, okay, I want to mark up what I am selling, your markup on the selling price. So if your selling price is already 3,680 Rand and you want to increase that, there is a way in the inventory, which I will go through, where you can go, I want to mark this up by an extra 20%, and it will mark that up. And you then choose the markup on inclusive or exclusive, and it makes a difference. And the markup will then affect your GP. But the markup is you choosing on how you change the selling price accordingly. And again, even on the markup, you can choose, am I marking up on the selling price or am I marking up on the purchase price? And then you would need to come and check what your gross profit is. All of these things are important to understand because they have a direct effect on the profitability of your company. And guys, I'm working in little bits of the program at a time. I think the questions that you are asking are an overall, how does the accounting process work? How does everything work together? And the thing is that is bookkeeping 101. These are very important questions that you're asking, but you need to understand bookkeeping 101 in general in order to understand, okay, items do this, and based on these things in terms of inventory are worked out based on whether I'm doing a customer invoice or a supplier invoice. So I will go through these things, but hopefully you understand last cost, purchase price, and cost of sales are all the same thing. They are used along with purchase price to work out gross profit. So hopefully that I've made clear now. Guys, I'm going to ask you for 2 seconds. I just quickly need to, I'm so sorry, there's someone knocking at my door. I need 2 minutes. If you have any further questions, please put them in the question. I will be back in 2 minutes. So sorry about that, guys. So basically, once you've created items, the next part of the flow is either you are selling or you are purchasing. Now, if you have taken on, like I said, you could jump straight into the tax invoice to purchase because of the fact that your purchase price is already there. Guys, this can end at 11. If, however, you need to jump out, that's totally okay. I'm sorry, I didn't realize how many questions I'd have just on the beginning. So I was hoping to jump through it quite quickly. I will send you the recording because it's totally okay, and I will go until I get to the end. In general, I do try to keep them to an hour. I did not realize inventory would be this hectic in Sage Accounting. I thought it would go quicker. I do apologize. So if you need to jump out, that's fine. I'll send you the recording of the rest of it and you can watch it at your leisure. So guys, if we had to do, as you saw, here we can do that because it's not going to affect our gross profit because of the fact that we already put in our purchase price and we had inventory items. So in this case, this is totally okay. And this can all be done correctly. So we can immediately purchase. However, with my other item, where there was no opening balance, but it's still a physical item, the flow would change slightly. So with my accounting, I can either do purchases or I can do sales, as long as you have items on hand and your purchase price, your last cost, your cost of sale value is entered correctly. You can either or is fine. There's no you have to this, then you have to that, then this flow. There are various ways accounting works. But the way inventory is worked out and the way that your profit is worked out, because how do businesses run? We have income and we have expenses. In this instance, that income comes from selling items. We need to make sure our gross profit is correct. That's where all of that came from. And here we can immediately go into an invoice and we can save that invoice, and this will then write accordingly. It will go, okay, this is the total sale, and here we'll see the amount due. And then this is where my gross profit will be worked out, because it'll go, the total for the sale is 4209 minus whatever my purchase price was for the items. And then it will go, therefore, the GP of this specific invoice is X, and that is my profit on this invoice. However, with my other item that did not have items on hand first, could you, if you allow negative stock to go sell? Yes, but in this instance, because there is no average cost, nor is there a last cost, this is going to go into negative, and the cost of sale for this item is going to be 100%. It's going to be 1348, or however much I sell for. In this instance, if you are bringing on a brand new item and it's a physical item, it is advised that you do not do your sales before you have done your purchases. So if you have both and you're like, oh, I haven't actually entered my purchases yet, but you know, you already placed your order, you've done all of that, you know, it's just not in your accounting system. You want to enter your purchases before you enter your sales. Because there's the physical side of accounting where you actually physically phone your supplier, go, hi, I need 100 A4 line pads. You've already done all of that. You forgot to enter it into the system. They send you the supplier invoice. You've got that now, and you've already got customers who are ordering from you. You've got both stacks of paper. However, you have not yet got quantities on hand. Which do you do first? You capture your purchases, because you do not want to capture your sales because it's going to put everything as 100%. So you will go in, you'll do your supplier invoice. Because you want it to enter the 100, we're going to say this is 10 Rand 50. You want it to enter your last cost, your average cost, so that when you do your sales, it can give you your GP accordingly. That's why. So that's why I was showing you the two differences. In the one, it made no difference. If you wanted to, if you had both stacks, you can choose. It's fine. It will be okay. However, if, and in most cases, if you do need to choose, if you've got supplier invoices and customer invoices, you always do whichever one came first. In 99.9% of cases, your purchases come before your sales, because you can't sell goods, physical goods that you do not have. But in that instance, you had 173 items. You can sell them. You can then do your supplier invoices. But if you know for a fact you still went and you processed your supplier invoices before you processed your sales, please capture your supplier invoices first. Reason being is, again, it affects your last cost, your average cost, and that can have an impact on your GP. So guys, I've got a question. Checking items to your reports or account transactions and you don't have inventory balance amounts in the TB. Does this item code average cost pull through automatically to the inventory account? Yes, it should. If it's not pulling through, that could be a problem. Now, in this instance, with these kind of issues, guys, I haven't dealt on SBCA or Sage Accounting too much with them, but I know in Pastel, these, as well as your selling, should absolutely be pulling through automatically to your inventory account. So you need to check what your purchase accounts are, and those should absolutely be pulling through. If those are not pulling through, there is a problem, and you please need to get hold of support to assist you, because that is going to horribly affect your GP. Please get hold of them. That is very, very important. So it should be, yes. There are ways that can also change, but please do get hold of them, because it does depend if your inventory is integrated or not. And with Pastel, I know how that works, and I am trying to get up to scratch in terms of these kind of specialist questions. But my advice to you, in my opinion, that should be pulling through automatically. And if it's not, support will be able to tell you why it's not and how to make sure it does. But I would say yes, it should be, otherwise it is going to affect this. Guys, so if we look at our list, because I do need to quickly go through these and I don't want to keep you guys too long because we are already over 11. But you've got list of items, list of item bundles. What are item bundles? Item bundles are things where you can, for example, go to the movies and they've got popcorn, a Coke and chocolate. You can bundle those goods together. So you'll make them as individual items. You then create a bundle, for example, combo 1. When you enter combo 1 on an invoice, it will enter those 3 items. It'll know what they all cost together, and it'll work it out accordingly. And this is also where you can check your item categories. So if we go into list of item bundles, you can add a bundle, and here you can see you add the bundle, you add the description, and then you add your codes. So if we had to go back to that and we look at bicycle 01, here we can see we've got a frame, we've got a pump, and we've got a wheel set. So that makes my bike. I've thrown in a pump. This is called my bike 01 combo. And here we can see how many of each. It will then put that together. You can then, for example, just add that on your invoice instead of having to add each one. It's just a quicker way to process. And then obviously with categories, that's how you would categorize your items. So you can come in, you can have a look, and you can also add, or if you wish, import item categories. Then guys, adjustments for your inventory are very simple because mostly you either working with sales or purchases, but there are times where you need to make item adjustments. And your item adjustments are either your quantity on hand or your average cost. And in Pastel, we call item adjustments count inventories. Another word for count inventories are stock takes. And you do need to do stock takes at least once a year, if not more times, because just because your accounting thinks you have so many quantities on hand does not mean that's true. You have what we call a theoretical quantity, and then you have an actual physical quantity on hand. And this is for physical items, not service items. Again, you cannot count service items, but you can count physical items. So in this instance, you need to check that what your accounting software thinks you have is what you have, because there are things that happened that your accounting software has no idea of. I am a body workshop. I sell soaps and Epsom salts and bottles of hand sanitizer, whatever. I get a shipment. I enter it into my accounting. One of my boxes of hand lotions falls off of the shelf onto one of my boxes of hand sanitizers and breaks them. Hand sanitizer is a liquid. Unless I can salvage that liquid, that is a loss to my business. I can't send it back to my supplier. It's not their fault there was an accident. Likewise, my accounting system does not know there was an accident, and now a whole box, 12 of my big bottles of sanitizer are broken. Maybe with some luck, I can salvage 2 of those bottles, but 10 are lost. I've lost 10 bottles of hand sanitizer. That is what your stock take is. That is what your item adjustment is. Now, if you want to just do one, you see, oh, my average cost is wrong here because I didn't enter my cost of sale or whatever it is, or somehow this cost of sale is very wrong, I need to adjust it. You can just do the top option. Literally, it's one by one. However, guys, if we're talking about a stock take, your year-end stock take, please enter your quick entry rule, because that one by one is going to take forever. One, your quick entry grid, you can import, so you can create an import and just import it into the system, or you can very quickly and enter it here and check everything. So if you've got an Excel spreadsheet, literally what you're going to do is you're going to go, okay, yep, that's that. Okay, yeah, that looks right. Is there a new average cost? Should this actually have changed? Yes, it should have. I don't know why it hasn't. Should you look into that? This should not be something that you do willy-nilly. But, for example, if you see there's 0 and right now you need to correct this for SARS, you can enter that value and go, actually, this should have had a cost of this. I don't know why it was that. What is my new quantity? This is what it is. Or somehow sanitizer leaked on one of my pads and now I only have 90. I lost 10 pads. What is going to happen is an adjustment is going to be made. So you have a general ledger account for inventory adjustments. This is a cost to your business because 10 items were lost. So that is a cost to you. So 10 times 1125 will be written to that adjustment. It is a cost to your business. It affects your profit and you are no longer as profitable. This is also how you make sure my theoretical value and my physical value are correct, because that's what it thinks I have. And if I do an inventory valuation report, it's going to go 100 times 10 Rand 50. It's going to go, this is the monetary value you have. So because you can technically sell this much, these are your assets. However, actually no, 10 of those items are lost and that was incorrect. So you need to do your stock take and make sure the physical and the theoretical tie up. You might have more on hand than what you thought. Not sure why that would happen. It can happen. Maybe something was forgotten to be added, or there was an error when entering a quantity. Someone meant to enter 100, but they entered 10. It's not a great thing, but these things need to be addressed. As well, guys, unfortunately, theft happens. The system doesn't know about accidents, theft, or just plain write-offs. This thing's been sitting on my shelf for a year. No one is buying the last 5 items. I'm giving them away. I'm doing a write-off. I'm selling them. There are 100 of these notepads. They've been there. I've marked them down. I'm even selling them below cost. The price is 5 Rand. People don't want them. I can't make anything on these. I'm taking them home. My kids can use them. 0. It needs to write that off to the business because it's still a loss to the business. You still paid money for those items. You have said this isn't sellable. It's been a year. It's been 2 years. It's been sitting here. No one wants them. I'm selling below cost. Clearly, I can't make any money on this. 0, done. So that's what this is. I don't think there is another place to do a write-off. I think it is only in the adjustments. I will double check that as I go through. But to my knowledge, guys, if you do need to do a write-off, and that's why I mentioned a write-off, because a lot of people don't mention inventory write-offs. Guys, the way inventory works is obviously you get something and you sell it at a profit that you think people will buy it as. So, I mean, if you've got notepads and you think they're really pretty and you can have a 40% markup on it, cool, do that. That's great. However, you see no one's buying that. So then you mark it down. You go, okay, clearly people aren't prepared to buy this at a 40% markup. They don't think it's worth the money. So then you do 30, 20, 10. Eventually, you will sell something below cost because you want to recoup some of those costs. The write-off happens when, as I said, no one thinks this thing is worth money. That sucks. You're clearly not going to buy it again. And then you can either donate it to people who could really use A4 pad lined, or you give it to your kids, whatever it is. To my knowledge, this is where you would do that write-off. New quantity on hand, 0. it will write that adjustment accordingly and it will be seen as a loss to your company. That's how that works. I will, however, double check. Guys, I will go through the import function. Import functions is going to have to be something entirely on its own, so I'll do it at the end so that it makes sense to you if you will stick around. Because I know that I said only until 11, so I do need to go through the rest. It's why I'm not going through the import. If you do, however, go to the import, you can see here, how do I set up my setup file? You can click on that. It will give you an option of how it works. You can download an example. I strongly advise that you do that. A lot of the reason why I advise that you do that is that, guys, if you download the example, what it will do, hopefully, because I think it is trying to do that, is it will create a CSV file for you. You can open that CSV and you can edit it accordingly. So if I'm correct, yes, you can rename it, and this can make a lot more sense to you. So always download the example because you can change it to what you need and it's in the format you need it in. So here you can see what you need to do, and you can then basically delete those and enter it as you need it to yourself, because there are only 3 columns: item code, average cost, quantity on hand. That's it. And you need to enter it. Please remember, if it is 0, you have to enter 0, guys. Just because something thinks it's 0 does not mean that Pastel thinks it's 0. Enter the 0 anywhere. I don't have any of this on hand, just in case. Hope that helps. That's a very quick answer to your question. So guys, moving swiftly along, sorry about this, adjust the item selling price. Now, this is specific to your selling prices, and this is where we were talking about markup. So you can adjust the selling prices. This again would be 1 by 1 by 1 by 1 or quick entry grid. So please know the difference between those two. 1 by 1 is where you go next, and it's literally, you know, just going to ask you questions. So here it's going which price list, because I have multiple. So you can go, I want all of them, for example, or you can specify a price list. If we then go next, here you can see again, it's asking you, are you doing a range or are you trying all of them? Active or inactive in this instance, guys, you're adjusting selling prices. If it's not active, why do you need to adjust it? So active, but you can do both. Do you want to do one category at a time or not? So this is basically just your filters. So you can enter your filters, item type. Now this is asking service, physical, both. And again, both are important, because just because it's a service item doesn't mean your time is not valuable and you're not going to increase your selling prices. These are selling prices, not purchase prices. Do you want to round up, down, normal? No. And guys, normal is the one, anything below 5, you round down. Anything 5 and above, you round up. Up is up and down is down. So you need to choose if you want rounding, yes, no, and then is it up, is it down? Where are you rounding to? And then if you round, as I said, are you rounding to the nearest 5 cents, the nearest 10 cents, the nearest 1 rand? How does that look to you? And then adjust the percentage. Here is your percentage adjustment. So what are we adjusting it by? Are we adjusting it by 10%? Are we adjusting it by 20%? Are we adjusting it by 30%? Your markup. What are you marking it up by? What is the percentage markup? Update selling prices on recurring invoices. We've explained what recurring invoices are at the beginning of the month. If you don't know, let me know. And do you want to include those in every case? Yes. And basically, you will then just next. And guys, basically what that does is that then adjusts it based on what you have selected. So that is in a range. If we go start again and you want to use the quick entry grid, this is where you are being very specific. So in the quick entry grid, basically I'm going to leave this as is just to show you, because guys, you can read through, you know, what am I doing? Am I doing both? Am I doing this? Am I not doing that, etc. But if we do this, this allows you more freedom, where literally on some of these you will go and select it, but on some of them you might go, I don't want to change anything on this. So this gives you the freedom to adjust what you need to adjust. So it won't just do it on that range where I said between this and everything got adjusted by 10%. Some things you might need 10%, some things you might need 5%, some things might need to be very specific. You've got, there is a new inclusive, and that new inclusive is actually 14 Rand 63 for this, but here it's 3436. And so here you can enter very specifically what you need in the quick entry grid. It'll show you everything and you can enter them one by one. For the webinars you've missed, just pop me an email. At the end of this, I'll answer your question at the end and show you how you can get the recordings to what you've missed. It's not a problem. I'm happy to send them. Everything's recorded. So guys, basically that is the difference between the, hold on, let's just go back there. Okay, selling prices. So you've got just adjust all of them based on a specific thing, my quick entry grid, and then copy from another price list. So you might want to copy from one price list to another. Again, it's the same thing. So these are just your price lists. And what you can do is, for example, maybe you want your retail is now going to be your wholesale, and your retail is going to go up by 10%. Instead of going through every price list 10%, you can just copy retail to wholesale and then just adjust the retail afterwards. So that's what you can do. You can also, for example, copy the wholesale to everything and then do your adjustments. Go, my wholesale for pensioners is 5% up, and then my retail is 10%. So you would copy wholesale to everyone, then you would adjust your selling prices accordingly and just select that price list. So that's how these can work together and be a quick way to adjust selling prices. Then guys, here we have our special. Our special is the adjustment of opening balances. So if you, when we were talking about items and I said your opening balances are important, item adjustments or adjust item selling prices is not the right place. That's not where you got to fix those. If you have a problem with your opening balances, you need to go to special, adjust item opening balances, because what you're going to need to do, and this will then go and fix, for example, to my knowledge, and I hope I'm right, it will go and fix the issues with your cost of sales and everything, because you're doing the adjustment now and it'll see, oh, this is what it should have been, this is what those quantities should have been, this is what my cost should have been, and it will go and adjust everything accordingly for you. So this is where you would come in and go, I made a boo-boo here, this should have had an opening adjustment. For example, what is the reason? Incorrect cost. This is so that if SARS comes to you and goes, what is this? You can go, this is what happened. This is the problem. Here's my proof. And basically that's what it was. And what it should have been was actually 2420. You know, I made an incorrection. I inverted the two. And when should this opening cost have been? And you will save it. So it's very important. Do not think, I made a mistake with my opening balances, I must go to item adjustment. No, that is specifically if you see my cost is wrong, but I know my opening balance was right. What happened here? Or my quantities are wrong because I had a theft, I had an accident, something happened, my quantities have changed, it's something outside of my control and had nothing to do with purchases or sales. I didn't, this wasn't because I sold something to a client, it's not because I purchased from a supplier. Something outside of my control happened and I need to adjust my quantities or my unit price accordingly. And that could be an accident, theft, or, as we said, a write-off. Then the other thing is to renumber your item codes. So guys, maybe you started off, you had an idea with what you wanted your codes to be. And for example, I have APAD 01 and I've got APAD 02, 03, 04. I don't even know what that means anymore. It makes no logical sense to me anymore. I can come in here and I can renumber those codes to something that actually makes sense so that when I'm processing, it's faster instead of me having to go in and look. Is this 1? Is this 5? Is this 10? Because this means nothing to me. I don't know what, if I'm doing the blue one, if I'm doing the green one, you know, is 1 blue, is 5 the pink one? That makes it much longer for you to process. You can come in and, for example, maybe A4 pad L is the way to go for lined. A pad is, you know, B is the way for blank. You know, it's not lined. Instead of 01, 02, which means nothing to me. If we're selling shirts, you know, okay, guys, I watch anime. Sorry, the only thing that's coming to my head because I really want a One Piece t-shirt is One Piece. So OP XL B for black, because that's what I want. I want the One Piece extra large black t-shirt, but you've got it as OP XL01. You're like, oh shoot, was 01 the black one? And then you have to go in, you have to look at the picture, or you have to go in, look at the description, make sure it's the right one. So you might want to come and renumber your codes accordingly. That's what you do in the special. You can renumber your code so that it makes sense. So when you're processing, it speeds up processing. You want to be able to process quickly, but you also want to be able to process accurately. So make sure that your codes make sense to you and you can renumber them. Then guys, we're moving on to our reports. Item listing is exactly that. Basically with the item listing, what you want to do is you want to list your items accordingly. And here you can check, okay, what are my listings for my default prices? Do I want to see additional details, for example? And do I want to see both service and physical? Maybe the point of running this report is to see what physical items do I have. There may be a reason for my additionals. Maybe I've got user defined here. For example, I can go into my company settings, and I can go into my user defined for my items, and I can, for example, for my numeric fields, which can be my codes or even my text fields, I can go supplier code. I don't want to use my supplier code, but I want to have the supplier code available on these items so that when I pull my items, I can, for instance, actually go, okay, cool. What I need to do is I need to place an order. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go to my items. I'm going to see my additional details. And what I want to see is I want to see my supplier code, because I need to, for this item, I need to know what my supplier code is so that I can quickly place my order with my supplier. So guys, you can add fields here that you need. For example, you can add, if you want a maximum and a minimum, you can add those in your numeric fields. Minimum amount required X, maximum amount X. When you're going through and you're seeing your quantity, you can very quickly see, okay, my quantity on hand is 100. What is my minimum? My minimum is actually 150. This is something I need to order. So that's where those additional fields can make sense, but this is a list of your items. You can use it, as I said, in both of those ways or however else you use that report, but it's just a list of your items and you can then choose if you want those additional fields or not. Obviously, if you choose not to, it's just going to give you your items. And maybe the reason you want this is just to very quickly check last cost, average cost. Are my prices correct? And what is my GP percentage and amount? Are these set up correctly? Are they what they should be? That could be the main reason why you're checking this, just to make sure your inventory has been entered correctly. Then you've got your sales by item. Your sales by item is exactly that. It's a way for you to come in and to be able to check, okay, what items did I sell? And this is also a way that you can maybe reconcile what were my customer sales, what were my item sales, and what is my gross profit. Just bearing in mind, if you are selling a mixture, if you are using a mixture of inventory and accounts, your sales by item and your sales by customer are not going to match up. So just something to bear in mind. But it is a nice way to check what sales did you make. This is also a very nice way to check what is selling well and what is selling poorly. What do I want to put more of my money into so I can increase my business and have a profitable business? And what am I looking at that maybe someone really likes that, but it's not really worthwhile? So that's what you would use that for. Your purchases by item, again, this is to check, okay, what am I buying? And your sales by item and your purchases by item are something you can view because your sales should dictate your purchases. So if, for example, you purchased a lot of something, but it didn't sell very well, you're going to want to make sure that, hey, next month I don't do that. So again, it's also to reconcile, but you can also use the two together and go, what were my purchases this month? Do my sales reflect my purchases? If not, why not? Okay, I see that this is a new item. I thought it would sell well and it's not. Either, yes, I want to put more energy into this item because maybe it needs a few more months, or you know what, let's see if over the next 2 months this picks up. I'm not going to purchase any more. If it doesn't pick up though, I'm going to bump it. So that's what those two are there for you to work out what's fast selling, what's slow selling. Also to make sure that, hey, my purchases by supplier also kind of match my purchases by item. Those two things are matching up and I'm feeling comfortable. Here you can check customer quotes by item, customer sales orders by item, supplier purchase orders by item. And guys, especially with your quotes and your sales orders, if your sales orders reserve stock, it's very important to pull this report because you want to take those customer sales orders and you want to make sure that either one, you have enough quantities on hand to turn those into invoices, or you can then, if you do pull those reports, put in your purchase order. So do my sales orders by item match my purchase orders by item, because I don't want things on back order, because then there's a chance of that client actually phoning me up and going, listen here, it's actually been 2 weeks. I'm not getting my stuff and now I want to cancel this order. So you want to make sure that you are in fact, that your quantities or your purchases cover the sales orders and that your customers are getting their goods. Then again, guys, while I said you can view these two to work out slow moving, fast moving, we also have something called an item movement report, which is exclusively used for that reason. What is fast moving? What is slow moving? How long do I want to use it? Very important report. Sorry, this report doesn't exist in 50 and I forgot it existed here. So I've always used purchases and sales to work that out myself. But it does exist here, so that's a very cool report. Can you still use all three? Of course you can. But that's a very awesome report. Your inventory valuation is exactly that. It's, hey, based on the stock within the system, what is the monetary value for that? Because your inventory is always an asset, because that inventory is meant to be turned into sales for you. So that's what your valuation is. It gives you an idea of your business's potential. What is the potential that I have on hand? And that is your asset that works with your reports that can be turned into cash. Your price lists are exactly that, a list of your price lists. Are your price lists intact? Is there anything that you need to add or get rid of? So you would pull those price lists and see, is this still valuable? Is this still how I want to group my customers and the prices and discounts and specials I give them? Your item bundles, guys, we've spoken about bundles. This is just a list of those bundles. Again, you check those bundles. Are they still relevant? Are they correct? Have they been correctly set up? And then your item quantities. This is a quantity report, a to and a from at a specific point in time. What do those quantities look like? Are they correct? And this is a very quick way to go theoretical, physical. Do I need to order anything? Don't I need to order anything? And can you see a huge discrepancy? Do you maybe need to do a adjustment, a stock take? So guys, I know I've very quickly gone through those. I hope that I've made some sense of those reports. Please let me know. I'm going to look at your questions now. Do you need to put in a rate of the service so that the GP is not 100%, as it still costs someone time to deliver the service? Yes. So if your service does have a cost, if it still costs you something to deliver that service, then yes, you need to put in that unit cost, because it costs you something, whether it is petrol, whether it is, because you can also, for example, have items, for example, call out fee, petrol costs per K, and that would then go on your invoice. So it depends how you want to work out those things. If you would prefer that they form part of the service cost, then yes, you would need to put them in. Guys, then someone did say that, and a few of you, this has been your very first session. So guys, what I want to show you, if there are any other questions, let me know. Hopefully I've answered all of the inventory-based questions. But if you do have questions, when you go in, and sorry, this is the system I use. When you do go in, and this is the link that all of you have, when you go into that link, it should take you to the registration page, whether you go in from the newsflash or whether you go in from Sage City. Those are the two places we advise these. You will see that Tuesday always tells you Sage Business Cloud Accounting. That is what we did today. That is the program we worked on, Sage Business Cloud Accounting or Sage Accounting. And it will give you the list of topics, whereas 50, that is this product, those are Thursdays. And that will give you the list of topics there. Guys, I only go 1 month in advance. The reason for that is many of you do email me. I am going to put my email in the chat quickly. It is just my name and my surname, and then @sage.com. You are very welcome to email me directly and go, hi Joe, I would like can I have a webinar on, for example, importing inventory, or importing inventory and customers and master file, or just importing in general. Generally importing, we have to break it up into categories because again, it's a lot. But you can ask me, I will then tell you, look, this is how I can do it. And I can then, for example, go, you know what, a lot of people ask me for, I would like this specific webinar. And I will then, for example, in October, I will go, these are the two I'm doing for October. So you should get a news flash in the middle of September, and October's topics should already be there. That's how I've been doing it, because before I would plan the whole year out, but then people would, like a lot of you coming for the first time, you would look at this and go, nothing I need help with is here. And what I really need help with is this. It helps me to know that I'm not doing these webinars for me. I know this information, I'm doing it for you. So pop me a mail and go, Joe, this is where I need help with, this is my problem, this is where I need training. Now, guys, please understand, we do have a training department and I can't step on their toes. But at the same time, I need to know what you need. I can then tell you, hey, this is something that actually you'd need to pay for. You need to go to training, or sure, I'm happy to help you with that. That is very basic how the system works. Let me take you through that, and I'm happy to do it. And I can add that as a topic. If you are having an issue like with the one where it wasn't writing to their trial balance, guys, I can't help with those type of things because those are support related queries, and unfortunately I don't have the time to sit and go through those specific queries for you. In that instance, I do need you to get hold of our sorry, I'm just trying to go there, of our support team, because we have a team that will go through those issues with you, irrespective of what the issue is. And there are two reasons for that. Regrettably, I do not have capacity to deal with end user queries while I do support. I can't deal with everyone's queries, or else I can't actually do all the other things I do. And I'm the specialist that does a lot of the background things, your YouTube videos, your training, your news flashes, your bots. Guys, the bots need to be trained on how to answer you. It takes coding. And so I don't have capacity. We do have other specialists that can help, and we have teams that can help. Over and above that, if you email me directly and I miss your email, there is no record of you having sent it. And the last thing I want is for you to not get the help you need. By emailing support, and you can go to sage.com/ZA, but I will also put the email here. We're going to go to support. So it's support and then support. Basically, we've got our support central, and this will give you everywhere you need to go. So in this instance, since it's Sage Business Cloud Accounting, you want to go to that resource center, and that resource center will then allow you to either email us, it will allow you to go to the chatbot, it will allow you to go to PEG if it loads. Guys, if this does not load, I will let them know. Sometimes that does happen. Here, and here you can see, here you've got the community. So this is Sage City. You can go ask your questions there. Here we've got PEG. Here we've got our knowledge base. Here you can go to chat. So you can chat to us. And then we can, in fact, assist you. You can watch the videos because we've got a lot of YouTube videos that may answer your questions. And you can select those options. So at the moment, a lot of what I'm doing is exactly this little thing that you're seeing here, our chatbot. And I've got to enter the information. So guys, please, you can come here. And if this does not work, there should be an option again for you to go to chat. I do, however, because I know in the news flashes, sorry, I'm going to my email now because I can't remember the email address off by heart, but there is an email address that you can also use just to email us directly. And I just want to send that through to you. This is Sage 50s. Yes, I don't want Sage 50. Sage Business Cloud Accounting. There we go. So at the bottom, and here support is. You can get hold of support. And guys, this actually creates an incident, and that means that it's actually, we can then in fact track it and someone will get hold of you. As I said, my email, if I miss it, I miss it, and then you're not going to get the help you need. So please, please, please bear that in mind. Support queries where you really need help with support, something's gone wrong, please will you email support@accounting.sage1.co.za. Okay, I just want to see if there are any other questions. Then, like I said, if you need the recordings, you can email me. And here you will see what I've gone through. Sorry, that was, so I went on the just with support. And what you can do is, if you can just, for example, take the list and just go, Joe, can you send me the recordings for this with the dates? That makes it much easier for me to go into my program, and basically I can find those recordings. The reason I ask for the dates is it doesn't tell me what topic I did. So if you give me the topic, I have to go and find it. But here what I can see is I can see the dates, and I can then very quickly send you that link or those links. So it's not a problem if you've missed them. You can see what we've done throughout the year, and I'm happy to send them through to you. Just email me. Guys, if you do that and I do not respond within 24 hours, please send me another email. It's possible that it's gotten lost within my email. I do get a number of emails throughout the day, especially after webinars, of a lot of people asking me things. And I do just need you to go, hey, I don't know if you've missed me. I haven't gotten this answer, because then I can quickly go in. The last thing I want is to not answer you. Otherwise, guys, I don't think there are any other questions. If there are, please let me know. I'm more than happy to answer them, but if not, I hope you have an amazing, wonderful day. I'm sorry this took so long, and I will see you in the next webinar, which will be on the 5th of September, and we're going to go through the supplier workflow. So please go sign up for that, and hopefully I'll see you then. You're welcome to log out. I'm going to give it another 3 minutes for any other questions to come through. If nothing comes through by 10 to 11, I will log out. And I will log out for everyone. I'll let you know, and I'll close the whole session. Thank you so much, though, for all of your time, and I hope that you found this useful. If there is something I said I would answer and I haven't, please send it through now. Thank you.